All right. What's up, everybody? And welcome to a WNBA State of Mind where we mainly discuss basketball, but we love other sports. And as usual, I got my guy, Don Dotto, on the show. Nephew Vid's going to be coming in a minute. And boy, oh boy, do we have a grocery list of topics. But first of all, peaceful Ramadan to all of the people that are participating out there. To start with, the NCAA women, FSU, seemingly upset number 3, Notre Dame, as Tanaya Ladson drops 23 buckets. Alabama upset LSU in an OT thriller as Aaliyah Nye goes in on them. Chloe Kitts snags a triple double in South Carolina's wins. And last but not least, Juju goes ham on UCLA for an 80-67 victory over UCLA, right? And Kiki Rice, who had 16 points, but Juju had 30 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds in 38 minutes of play. Talk to me.
Juju. They can't mess with her Juju. Yo, she is one of the coldest women's hoopers I've ever seen. Just kind of taking it back, basketball historians will know what I'm talking about. She reminds me of a women's basketball player by the name of Courtney Ellis, was a standout high school player here in the state of Michigan. Also did some work at Michigan State at Seton Hall. They had the same body type, same jump shot. Shout out to my guy Bid who just jumped in. Yo, USC problems. But I'm gonna tell you guys this: the championship won't be won by someone who is recognizable. It just won't this year. It's just a lot of competition, top to bottom. There's no clear-cut winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I said, get, Vid up to speed, seemingly. Okay, you got FSU down there with you, Florida State University, upset Notre Dame number 3. Now, here's the argument. Right, Dom says it's not an upset, but I say, hey, listen, you're looking at a team that's 24 that beat a team that's number 3 in Notre Dame. So, people are going to be saying it's an upset. Dom, you can go ahead and give your reasons why you feel like it's not an upset. FSU
Just
is
real
down
quick,
there with you.
that's it's not an upset at all. I mean, Florida State leads the league in scoring. Like they're averaging almost 90 a game. They've had a few signature victories this year. Notre Dame was the biggest one so far. So like they put a lot of people on notice. They got some WNBA talent on that roster. They got the nation's leading scorer and Miss Latson, who 26 a game. Like she's only a junior, so it's not upset.
I mean, 324 is definitely an upset in my book, but I know Florida State very well. Shout out to OMG over there. But I agree with Dom. On paper, it is an upset, like I said, 3 against 24. But if you know and you study Florida State, they've been together for a few years. They're not a young team in terms of chemistry and playing with each other. I think the 24 ranking is a little bit deceiving. Um, they're a good, viable team, and I look for them to make a huge run in a tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. FSU's been around. They've been making noise for quite some time. So yeah, argumentably, um, you know, I mean, they I don't know if it was an upset. I mean, they got a good team. They're a senior driven team. And so they're ready to go up against anybody. And, they're definitely proven over the years. And so it's definitely going to be tough going down the wire. I don't know who's going to win a national championship in women's basketball at this point right now. Alabama did upset LSU the other day. And then and that was in the OT. And then you have, South Carolina, who's just tearing it up on a regular. certain teams to be there, but are those teams gonna be the teams to win? Is South Carolina gonna win a championship this year? Is UConn going all the way this year? Not if Juju and USC has anything to say about it, you know, seemingly not if FSU has anything to say about it. Meanwhile, as we go into the WNBA, there's a host of stories. There's topics all over the place. Like there's so many things happening. WNBA is real busy in the off season. You have these go backs now. All right, you got Vandersloot is going back to the Chicago Sky. All right, this isn't a go back. All right, you got Diana Taurasi, which is probably the biggest story, saying goodbye to the WNBA. And then the kicker. What the she loves me not is going on in Seattle with Seattle and Gabby Williams. How many times do you have, oh, I'm leaving, I'm coming back, I'm leaving, I'm coming back, I'm leaving, I'm coming back. So she re-signs again, 2025 in Seattle. I hope and pray to God, fellas, that this year will finally be the happy ending, okay? Because they have a weird relationship over there, and it's comedy. It's not a bad thing. It's like, yo, what in the world? We got a lot of movement going on, okay? The Sun, your squad, Vid, they broke up entirely. One person going to Phoenix, okay? You got Thomas going to Phoenix.
DeWanna out of there too. So
DeWanna's out of there. Thomas goes to where she came from, where Wanna came from. So they're trying to make some noise around the league. People are trying to add intricate pieces to their squads. So, what do you guys think about all of the movement that's going on in the WNBA? Are you guys getting excited? Are you excited about Brittany, going down there to Atlanta? Do you think that she's the change that they needed to see? Talk to me, boys.
I'm excited because it brings more parity, because we looked for years, it was the Liberty and the Aces, I still think there'll still be a cut above, but it's still, it just got closer. And with Brittany down in Atlanta, it brings more defense for them. We know they can score, right? But could they keep teams from scoring on them? That was their Achilles heel. So having a shot blocker down there is going to change things for Atlanta. And maybe Dom actually gets his prediction right this year,
No, that's hysterical, And as you were speaking about, them, grabbing onto Brittany, they send Cheyenne Parker out there to the Aces. I mean, that's another good catch for them. My thing is, does Asia Wilson finally decide that she's going to adopt the high-low game and start giving these teams the business inside? Okay, like the Aces need to, because you're going to have a 1-2 punch in the post, and they need more rebounding. And Cheyenne will definitely bring that. And she's also going to bring a toughness to them as well, and then they're going to have the Mamba on the wing. So they're going to be fast, and they're going to play a lot better defense this year out there in Vegas. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Skylar Diggs out there, Diggins out there in, up there in Seattle. That's going to be interesting to watch. As we were talking about Lexi, okay, 2 days later, she gets traded to Seattle 2 days after we mentioned her on the podcast, talking about her being in LA, coming out of injury. And she really wasn't injured. It wasn't an IR situation. She was having some intestinal issues, which is different. So they decided to trade her up to Seattle. So Seattle is going to look totally different. There's a couple of teams that are going to look totally different.
Absolutely, Goody. I mean, just like Vid said, there's a lot of excitement in the air. I don't think we're done with moves yet. As we're approaching training camp, I think that there's still a few more moves that are going to be a few shockers with a few teams because you got a lot of new general managers and they're figuring out the league themselves. New coaching staff. Shout out to my guy Tyler Marsh out with the Chicago Sky. Everybody was like, "Who is this dude? How did he get this job?" Let me just put his resume out there for you. D League champion, well, G League champion, NBA champion, WNBA two-time champion, all as assistant coach. He got championship pedigree. He's going to turn things around in that locker room. I'm almost certain of it. So, the Sky is a team that is definitely on the rise. Seattle, adding Gabby, like you said, on the defensive end of the floor, they're going to improve. But, the Black Mamba out of there. So where does the offense come from?
Yeah,
Noel Quinn got to
absolutely.
figure that out.
Unless they had some hidden talent there, some people
Mhm.
that were, under the radar, but they weren't getting the playing time. So it'll be an opportunity for some people to rise, the cream to rise to the crop, or
Yeah.
they might have a diamond in the rough over there. We'll see what happens. I just think that, Vid hit the nail on the head when he said that there was definitely more parity in the league because of it. And I'm looking forward to the new franchises that are about to come along, and the new franchises that are going to be playing this year. So it'll be interesting to see how Valkyries comes out the box. They're definitely going to be wet behind the ear. I don't see them with anybody on their team that they don't have a lot of veteran leadership.
Yeah.
Over there, which may actually turn into a problem. They're going to have to they need somebody to lead the flock, even if that person isn't starting. And you're listening to a WNBA Stadium. I stand over here chopping it up. My guy Don Dada, Vid Lamonte Bugs Jr., nephew Vid chimed in. And, we just sitting and chopping it up about the NCAA and Juju going ham on UCLA, giving them that 80-67 defeat, scoring 30 buckets, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, excuse me, and 3 assists in 38 minutes of play. So she was getting it in. Sounds like a personal vendetta to me. Who is the queen of the state? It sounds like she was letting UCLA know that USC is the best team as long as I'm around. Now,
Absolutely correct.
yes, fellas.
Absolutely correct. Goody, I just want to back up for 1 sec. I want to give you guys a small note in the background. The W has had some great publicity. There's some things going on in the background that may hit the news. You're kind of hearing it here first. There's a little known minor league, I believe it's called the Women's National Basketball League. It's really weird. There's this minor league that popped up out of nowhere 2 years ago. They've got the Detroit Shock name, so-called registered. They got the Cleveland Rockers name, so-called registered. But the WNBA has the trademarks for that. So that is something that is going to be coming out in the news pretty soon. Your viewers here on the WNBA State of Mind are kind of hearing that first. There's going to be a little bit of a court battle back and forth. And I got to say, the guy that owns this minor league, he's pretty bold because he's putting everything on social media. It's crazy. It's bananas, but I'm excited for the new WNBA season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell anybody who is going into a battle, okay, being on a collective bargaining agreement, sitting across from David Stern, Jamin Derkowitz, his name, like when you hear his name, like the spirits start shaking. All right. The spirits you can't see in the room, the demons start shaking because this guy was the lawyer, for the NBA. And he ain't play nothing. He ain't play. Rarely would yes come out of his mouth. It's always no, 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 no. And you had to go through him to get the yes, you know, and you sit down and you talk to David Stern, and then David would go back and talk to him, and you would hope and pray that Jamin Dirkowitz would come back with
Yes.
right a yes. Very often, it was a no. So knowing the lawyers that are over there in the NBA, the WNBA, all right, those counselors, those general counselors, those some bad boys, some bad girls. So it makes it really difficult for anybody who's coming against the WNBA or the NBA to win. First of all, you got to have a lot of bread.
Yep.
Because you're going to be tied up in litigation. So if you're trying to use the Detroit Shock, not going to happen. Not going to happen. So good luck with it. I hope that we eventually get to a point where we do have a D league, a developmental league. But the one thing that my mentor and somebody that I dearly respect, Nancy Lieberman, said to me, we can't keep on throwing things up against the wall and hoping that it sticks. Now is the time for women's basketball, okay? But people have to understand that you're going to have to get the WNBA to co-sign on a lot of things, especially if you're trying to do this. So if you're trying to do these things, you got to make sure that you're talking to the HNIC. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. All right? Fellas, in the NBA, some games today. Wow. Okay. We got Nuggets, Celtics, Blazers, Cavs, Knicks, Heat, Clippers, Lakers, Timberwolves, Sun, and some people out here on the block, Pookie out here on the block saying the Lakers are going to go deep in the playoffs. Who y'all say?
I'm with Pookie on that. Let's go, Lakers. Let's go.
Yo, listen, I had a whole conversation with Uncle Ruff on the phone yesterday. He going in on, about Luka and Luka.
Yeah.
Now, you guys know that I'm a Luka fan. When I was on Instagram, all I did was put Luka stuff up. Now, looked like my man's trying to get in shape, which was one question that we asked on the show, the last show we had. Second, he looks like he might be listening to LeBron. Looks like LeBron might be getting in his head because LeBron is a gym rat. So looked like he might be. Another question that we posed on the show where I said, is LeBron going to be able to get Luka on the same page with this? Hey, let's put the beers down. Let's get in the gym. Let's lose some weight and let's get this championship. And it looks like that might be something that's going on, fellas. Okay. Outside of that, there's a couple of teams that might have something to say. All right. The Celtics, they get the Cavs surprised them, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Right? Cavs surprised them at home. And it's like right now, you're getting ready to get in this area where, in the NBA, March and April are months that you got to win games. You have to win games because you're approaching the playoffs, and that number 8 spot, how that number 8 spot becomes like a rat race, or who's going to get that eighth spot. And the way that teams are playing, anything could happen. So out of those teams, teams like, the Nuggets, who really seem to be like going up and down, you don't really know what's it seemed like, 1 minute they're playing well and the next minute they're struggling. I don't really know what's going on with them. The Cavs have been on top the whole time. The Knicks, it's like 1 minute they're winning, the next minute they're not. They're up and down. They need to find some level of consistency. The Heat look like they're trying to turn it up. The Clippers have been surprisingly consistent. The Lakers seem to have made a good choice in getting rid of Antonio and bringing Luka on. Okay, it's starting to seem like the win trade that everybody was looking at it to be, but kind of had a doubt. Everybody had a doubt. We knew that was the greatest trade ever, but everybody had a doubt. All right, you got the Timberwolves. What are they? Are they gonna get themselves to a point where they're gonna stay over 500? Are they going back down? The Sun, what direction are they going in? All right, talk to me, fellas.
I don't think we worry about the Nuggets. They're like the 2011, 12, 13, 14 Spurs, where we saw them, just ease on in, right? The ups and downs ease on in, but when it comes playoff time, they're ready. I think this game today against the Lakers Clippers is going to be a big one. It's for LA, right? But the rivalry has renewed because of Luka, right? The Clippers has been, I'm a Laker fan, born into it. The Clippers in recent history has had our number, right? The Lakers are trying to take that back. That has playoff implications because we all know, if you get bullied by a team in a regular season, if you face them in a playoff, it messes with your mental. Celtics gonna be all right. What I mean? The Cavs is a team that no one expected to do what they've been doing, right? But what's good for the NBA is having the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Celtics, old franchises, being relevant, and I love it.
Absolutely, old franchises being relevant. Okay. And when you have these old franchises that are playing against each other, as you can see the camaraderie, as you can see the passion, as you can see the vengeance that they will have, and it's just leading to, they starting to they have these push matches, they getting into it, a little excitement to the game. We don't want to see people get bloodied up. We don't want to see nobody hit somebody with a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because Kareem was into capping people. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you go back, yeah, because they was grimy. Detroit, but that type of play is coming back, not so much where they really, because these young dudes, they be swinging and missing. I don't understand what's going on with that. Real talk. Oh, I'm going to hit you, but then I'm not. I don't really know what's going on with that, but it is coming back, man. They starting to get, Cavaliers, we talking about them. They had an altercation this week, where they were fighting and, getting after it. Actually it was with the Memphis Grizzlies. Short story. I tell you, every single game that we played against LA, all right? Utah versus LA, Adrian Goodson, Delisha Milton. I promise you, one of us was either going to get thrown out the game, both of us was getting thrown out the game, or we was going to have flagrant foul shot. It was something. We sit and we laugh and we talk about this because Old Dominion, go there, talk to the girls, and they always have this story. But it's a true story. Bottom line, me and homegirl, okay, don't worry about on the floor. We both get kicked out the game. All right. Nah, we ain't doing this on the floor. I'm going to see you on the other side of the tunnel. Okay. So we leave the tunnel, getting ready to come, and we got to pass each other. Okay. Got to pass each other to walk. She got to walk all the way down the other end, and I got to walk to my end. So it's kind of like two ships in the night, but it wasn't going to be two ships in the night. She already saw me coming down the hall. I was like, yo, even her husband had came up too. I said, yo, you could get some too. No, we not bridging out here. Yo, Michael Cooper gonna get your butt kicked out here. And I didn't say it like that either. So we get kicked out. are coming around like, yo, we can make it. I'm gonna knock this man. So she goes, yo, Goody. She goes, it's good, man. It's good. You know, it was game, blah, blah, blah. Listen, Michael Cooper gonna get your ass whooped. That's what he gonna do to you. You know, we laugh about this all of the time because we can sit back and we can laugh about it. But I'm telling you, in the game, it gets grimy like that, fellas. It gets grimy like that, especially when you have the passion in your heart. And so that's why that last comment that you made, it was absolutely fantastic because, you know, that passion, you know, you got these old school teams coming back. I love to see the Celtics out there. Love to see the Lakers out there. You know, would love to see the Philadelphia get themselves back to some degree of, you know, relevancy. Wish Seattle still had a team where you had the Supersonics in there. You know, those teams, you know, Detroit, hopefully, you know, within the next 2 or 3 years, they'll come back to some relevancy because they, you know, they're a young team and they're playing. They're starting to make some noise. They've had some good wins this year, you know. So I wouldn't, even if they don't make it into the playoffs or however it plays out for Detroit, I really feel like they've had a successful season because you can see it.
Yeah.
You see the strides that they're making. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind, sitting here chopping it up with my guy Don Dada. You didn't even give your NBA take. What's going on?
Hey, you was on the road. You was on the road. So I just kind of had to let you go. You know, Vid made some fantastic points, you know, about LA and, you know, about the Clippers and, you know, that inner city rivalry. You know, the Lakers will definitely win today by a comfortable margin. You know, that Denver Nuggets, Boston Celtics game, you know, is going to be fantastic. But at the end of the day, we're going to see an OKC Thunder and Boston Celtics NBA Finals this year. That's just what it is. You know, when you get to the playoffs, things completely change. Coaching matters a little more, and that's going to be LA's downfall. Because JJ, you know, you're number one. He has to experience that for himself on the sidelines. You know, that's different. Total different ball game. Everything slows down. The Lakers do have some issues because they gave up AD in the post. You got Jackson Hayes down there, who's a little thin with no muscle. So, hey, it's going to be explosive.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're
Hold
gonna
up, hold up.
see. We're
Man,
gonna
how
see.
you just going to disregard the Nuggets, bro? Like not the Suns. Man, throw his take out. That's trash.
And we gonna end on that one. I can't right now. You know, not everybody's a Laker fan. Not everybody's a New York Knicks fan. Not everybody's a Boston Celtic fan. Not everybody's a Detroit fan. But we are WNBA State of Mind fans over here. You know, Sammy Sosa, we gonna take it out. Thanks everybody for watching the show. Sammy Sosa, peace out. Dom. Yeah.